All right. Try to be a professional, but we're not going to do a professional. They just showed up. But they want me to read this, so I'm going to introduce myself.
All right.
This is the PBS special on Spreaker. Interviewing some radio legends. But I'm Jeff Adams. I do a small weekly video podcast in Spreaker land, but they want me to say this, so where is it at? Okay, yeah, you can get a free month off your first month Spreaker podcast hosting live streaming plans by using promo code MNX15 for free. There you go, guys.
All right.
You can just slide in iHeartRadio and
I like free
boom,
stuff.
boom, boom, boom.
We'd love to be on iHeart.
But anyways, I'm excited about this guest. They're actually nominated in 2 categories tonight, the Podcast Awards. How you guys feel about that? In fact, we'll just tell the audience what awards that is.
We got nominated for Best Rodeo Podcast. That was odd since we rarely. I mean, sometimes we do, but
And Best Teeth Whitening Podcast.
Yeah.
We're up for that one as well.
Uh-huh.
No, it's People's Choice, which we have no chance whatsoever, because obviously in a category that you have any podcast, such as Serial, we're not going to win.
Well, at least you guys are not doing learn how to podcast and make $1 million.
That's the new thing.
Yeah.
Oh, believe me, we had many discussions on
We
how do we
looked into
take
it.
advantage of these dum-dums.
we definitely looked into
And
it.
they
We're
all
like,
do
we
this,
did.
they all do the same pictures. They're all looking like this in their pictures,
Yeah.
like with the microphone, like making love to the microphone.
Everything's a manifesto, too. Like,
Yes.
not to bag on the guys that are here, but if I saw them, I'd probably say it to their face. But I like the ones that are like, we're up for Best Comedy Podcast as well. But the other thing I like is, like, when you see the podcast guy and he's like, enroll in my podcast manifesto 2015.
Academy.
It's not that hard, man.
I know, right? I mean, I guess. My buddy, he created. You talk about computers and stuff.
Oh, did I make fun of him? I hope.
No.
My buddy, he does the podcast
he was
manifesto.
he was part of the team that created the startup window in Microsoft, and I was like, "How? That's just so stupid."
He did that?
Yeah, he was part of the team and created it. And I said, why is that? He goes, because people are just idiots, and you had to put start. He goes, that was my idea. I said, let's just put start on it.
He's actually a genius.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
the smartest guy in the world.
People really don't know.
Actually, I'd love to interview that guy if you want to throw me a number sometime.
Yeah, I
That's
will.
a great story, right?
Yeah, he's a very laid back guy. I don't know if he was,
Hey, dude, you need a start button.
yeah, he's a surfer guy. But with podcasting, it's not that hard. It's a USB, plug in a microphone, you go.
You say that, but like sometimes, like for instance, I try to teach my pop-up, my grandfather, how to.
Oh, he's podcasting now?
No.
What's for dinner?
I try to teach him how to use his email one time. So I opened up his, like, I got
You
him
got
an
mail.
my old college computer, and I set him over with AOL, and I'm like, all right, Pop-Up. This is how, like, okay, you click on the mail button, and then you could put my email address. Here it is, and then you could email me, and then I'm like typing myself an email. And he's like, wait, how'd you do that? And I'm like, you click on the button. No. He's like, how'd you make the words go on the screen? And I realized
That's true.
And I realized he didn't even understand the concept of a keyboard. And then I'm like, oh yeah, we have to.
I mean, it might as well have been at that point, it might as well have been a dragon, some sort of mythical, any creature you could think
So
of.
then I realized, so some people, like, even when I try to explain, people ask us, how do you podcast? And we start going with, like, even what hosting site to use and stuff. Like, people, that's way over their head. They're like, no. What do I buy? Like, what microphone? And then, so you realize, like, some people, and then that's why those there's a guy that makes apparently like $300,000 a year just teaching people through podcast.
Yeah, I won't say
school.
his name. You probably know.
Man something?
Yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, he's rich.
Boy,
He made,
something.
Was this
thank you.
shots of
Vodka
vodka?
shot?
Oh.
my God.
Carrot Top was feeding us Crown Royal last night, and we almost vomited. And
Really?
Yeah, he's sponsored by Crown Royal. So when you walk into he has a green room for his dressing room.
Yeah.
And when you walk into it, he has a giant king throne that it's upholstered by the purple, like, Crown Royal bag.
Yeah.
And it's all embroidered. It says a Carrot Top on it and everything. And yeah, he's sponsored by Crown Royal. I mean, that guy's good at business. He knows what he's doing.
I bet he misses Winter Park, right? I miss seeing him at Houston. Remember Houston?
You know what? I don't want to give out too much information, but he still considers that home and still has, like, same address, phone number, everything. Yeah, he's just here, but he loves Orlando.
Yeah.
Cool. It's definitely cool.
So podcasting, here we are live on Spreaker. You guys use Spreaker before? We talked about it a little earlier.
Yes, yeah, we have. Spreaker's super cool. And here's the thing, like we were just joking around about people not knowing like how to podcast. I am not the technology partner in this business. That's definitely Daniel's side. So I barely understand the concept of how our audio gets uploaded. It's magic to me.
Well, how do you, let me ask you something if you don't mind. Like, how do you feel about the live component of a podcast? Is it essential to you? Because Spreaker's, you can go live. We go live with our show. We probably, should use Spreaker, but I think we use Ustream. Hopefully they're not mad that I said that.
No.
I'm just being honest. And I think our live component is like maybe 1%.
Yeah, on demand's it. I mean, obviously, without a doubt. For me, I mean, I love the high of like totally screwing up. There's no going back.
Yeah.
What's there is there. There's no thing. Let's go fix that in post. Like, you're doing good podcasts with people. They basically, hey, can you stop that? Cut that out. We had to do it a couple times. Even when we do these video reviews, I like to just go through it. Just don't edit it. Just
we agree.
Put it up.
It's kind of like we kind of do that same thing because we're a radio background. It's similar to like the Tonight Show or the late night shows.
Yeah.
They do like a kind of live to tape.
Right.
So they rarely cut anything out unless they really have to.
Right.
What he's saying is we're as good as the Tonight Show currently with Jimmy Fallon.
But it's that mentality. I agree. Like once you get it into your head, like okay, there's no stopping or whatever.
Right.
Then you have a different type of energy, and it's kind of like it harkens back to like radio days where you have to be on point. Like you don't want to use the fact that it's recorded as a crutch,
right?
Because then it becomes too easy to be like, oh, let's stop that. We'll
do it in post. We'll make it sound like $1 million in post.
Yeah. Like
well,
you
there
cut
are
out
plenty
things.
of guys that I listen to. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But you're an idiot. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
We're like pushing down.
We just start a fight. Yeah. But there are plenty of people that I listen to on the daily that I know you don't listen to these podcasts. But one of the wormholes, or black holes rather, that I get sucked into is listening to podcasts about how to podcast because I'm so afraid I'm going to
do that.
Well, I'm so afraid I'm going to miss a piece of technology, and that's really that is how I found out about Spreaker.
Yeah.
Is by listening to one of those shows. But those guys will steer you completely the opposite of what you believe. Like your mantra, our mantra is go live. If there's something glaring, like if we have a guest and he says something like maybe derogatory about, let's say about a family member or wife or something, and then later he's like, I really shouldn't have said that.
Right.
We give him the option of taking that out, and we'll cut that out in post. But most podcasters live and die by edit, and we're not those guys.
We had one terrestrial deal, and we were trying to figure out the studio, and they were such a, I shouldn't say pain in the ass.
Yeah.
It was a small terrestrial studio out of West Virginia, and they wanted us to start the feed, end the feed, and it just wasn't worth it because we do like a pre-show. We just do whatever we feel like doing. It's kind of like what you left. You want. I don't like structure. I don't like structure.
Yeah.
And we do a pre-show, we do an after show if we feel like it. We keep it going and just do a really set time. Like for the hour, we have 1 to 2. It's a show that's going to go up, but we do stuff that pre-show, after show type of stuff, and I love it. There's no. You know what I mean?
It doesn't have to be within any sort of boundary. Like, that's what's cool. To me, like, I love the most about podcasting is, like, you don't have to have any sort of length of time. There's 15-minute podcasts and stuff people enjoy, and then there's 3-hour podcasts. Like, there's a certain amount that looks daunting. I think, human, like, psychology. You look at a 3-hour podcast, and that's like, oh, that's some work. Like, it takes some commitment. But you could do whatever you want. You could do a 10-hour podcast. Like, I've listened to, like, Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. I'm a big history fan. And then, like, you could do a 5-hour podcast. And I like that. And during certain times, or, like, listening to, like, we do a podcast for Orlando City Soccer called Soccercast, and we keep that right around.
It's a really creative name.
Right around
Soccercast. Yeah. Like, what's it about? Soccer. What does it do? It's sort of cast it out. Soccercast.
Sometimes simplicity is the best. But that's like 25 minutes because I envision people listening to it as they drive to the match or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but like what you said, you be whatever you want to be,
Right.
And that's a great thing. Like
that's a really inspiring quote. I like be whatever you want to be.
I'm gonna push you off the table by the end of this.
I know. My goal is to is to pepper little snarky insults in there until eventually you beat me up and we cause a scene, and then we alienate ourselves from the podcast community. I already feel like I'm hated being here because everyone's dressed up and cool, and we came in here like we look like, I mean, we look like D-heads.
Yeah.
We look like complete D-heads.
We look like radio slobs, which is what we came
Now
from.
you really go, if you had a suit and tie, you could go up to the Telos booth over there with all the radio executives checking out the
Yeah,
video.
yeah.
Oh, that's a nice.
Yeah, I
place.
walked by them. I
Yeah.
saw, and they, man, you know, no offense to radio guys, but you can smell them a mile away. Like, you can see them and go, oh, like, I look at them and I smell like poorly written, backhanded contracts.
Oh, well, you know what sucks about those guys? I'll just say they suck because I
Yeah.
have nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
It's just like the music industry, coming from the music industry. The called suits, they make things more complex than what they need to be.
Yeah.
They drive you absolutely nuts just because that's their title. They have to justify their paycheck.
Yeah. That's called job security there. Or maybe,
Yeah.
It is ridiculous.
Oh, we know all about that, man. But we still sell a show, you know, to get back sort of to podcasting. We sell a podcast to Real Radio 104.1 in Orlando, and that's all thanks to proper management.
When does that run?
It's Wednesdays from 7 to 8, and then it gets replayed on Saturdays. And
But we have a good manager, and it's amazing when you have a younger guy that gets it.
Yeah.
You know, his name's Jack Bradshaw. For those that listen to you and listen to us and know who Jack is, he's on the Phillips File.
Yeah.
And he's a young, hip, cool guy, and it was his idea, not ours, because I had completely checked it. I'm like, not going back.
Yeah.
Never going back.
It's good promotion for us, and we Daniel termed the phrase, or the coined the phrase or term, podio, which is basically podcast radio.
But I think somebody else already like says that for some strange reason. But I like to think that I thought of it because I like to think that I'm intelligent and cool.
But they came to us and they're like, "Do you want to do a radio show?" We're like, "Absolutely not, not interested." And then he came to us because he was like, "Well, I want your style of what you do on my station. How do I do that?" And we're like, "We'll do a podcast." And this is where it comes to, like, the only thing that does suck is we have to do it in like 3 15-minute chunks,
Right.
just because you have to do it in segments because there's 3 breaks, you
Yeah.
know. And it's so anti what radio has always trained people, like, you got to be live, take callers, you got to follow the
Make sure you take your breaks
ride the 15
over
minute
the quarter hour to maximize the amount of personal people meters that are gathering information secretly from all the sheep out there.
It's so even Arbitron is so antiquated technology. People get beepers and they walk around with them, and
I got sent one. I got sent an eligibility form, and I took the $2 they sent me and I shredded the form. So there you go.
But it is so funny because they have this, radio has been, this is what works throughout the years, and like, a lot of
people want to hear.
But it's not even what they even want to hear. It's just like, this is what we need to do to kind of get the highest possible ratings. But it's never like, hey, let's focus on content. It's like, hey, let's focus on these tricks that have worked in the past, like taking your break right on the quarter hours so that you get the most amount of listeners, like appointment listening and games and give out prizes.
Reset your topics. Give the number out. Give the number out.
and it's
engage.
Oh, I hate it.
Put your Twitter out there. Read a couple tweets. Read a couple Facebook messages.
And then
here comes the contest giving away $1,000. Oh my God, it's the worst thing in the world.
I know.
And then so
I did it for 16 years. So some people would say you're stupid for doing it for 16 years, and I say to those people, you're correct. I don't have any other explanation.
Well, let's get to that. I mean, let's really dive into that. I mean, in the world, like, people, hey, I want to start a, podcast, radio show.
Yeah.
You don't have a following. You guys were really big in the community and still are in Orlando.
Yeah.
But what the hell happened to Real Radio? I mean, I drove into Mount Dora because my parents get a little older. I was listening, and I was...
By the way, there's a lot of Mount Dora love in here. We met a gentleman that has a booth on the video side of things here, whose brother owns a small soccer bar in Mount Dora.
Oh, really?
And hopefully we'll be drinking beers and doing a live show from there.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of Mount Dora love here. Anyway, that's completely unrelated.
But it's you guys obviously came from that station, a big morning show that was massive at its time. I don't know what it's doing now.
I think it's still number one.
Yeah, I think they're still considered massive. Yeah. I think they're a number one show, and you know what? That's awesome.
And we still got friends on that show, and there's more power to them. And we we want them to be successful because like now we kind of do a podcast radio show on that station, so it's more promotion for us. We
certainly don't want any show on there to change or tank because it might mess with our beer money. I mean, like that would be a really stupid business decision.
It all came down to like me and Daniel. After we did our morning show, we used to do our morning show. Like it became just a, hey, we need to fill 5 hours, and it's just it's lack of a better term, a 9 to 5. Like you just get into that rhythm, and you're just like you don't care about the content.
Right.
You don't really care about the success really because it doesn't really affect you. Yeah, you get bonuses and stuff like that, but you realize there's no money in radio. You never you're constantly trying to fight for every dollar. There's this whole misconception that
I was rich.
People
you had to fight for every dollar, but
it's just they don't have any money. They're always saying we don't have any money, and it's like everybody complains about it. Like and it just becomes an environment where everybody just hates their job. And
isn't it just the opposite in podcasting? Everybody says they're making millions of dollars, but they're actually not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we didn't start doing. We would do the podcast after the radio show on Fridays, the same exact time that we still do it to this day, 2 p.m. on Fridays.
And it started off just with me and Daniel after the morning show. We'd have to do the production work, so we used to sit in the office and we used to just make each other laugh.
And oddly enough, no one else was there, and that's not a knock. I'm just saying, in radio, there is a hierarchy, there is a level of. Whose responsibility is what, and for us, being on the producing side, even though we were, I guess, quote, personalities, I don't like that term, but, at the time, we were the only two guys that left to do the work, so we hung out, and the jokes that we were making in the office behind closed doors were I'd come home and I'd tell my wife how much more fun I had just talking to him in the office just for an hour. Just literally making each other laugh until we cried. But it, like he said, it had zero to do with our 9 to 5.
Right.
And then one day I still remember, it was a Tuesday. I don't remember what day. It was in March. And we looked at each other and I said, we should just record that. We just roll tape on it just for posterity. My wife likes to save little mementos and tapes and little things, because women are weird like that. And I was like, let's just start recording it. And by Thursday, we had the ability to take calls using Skype. We had a full setup because, you're no stranger to the music industry.
Right.
I'm sure you've collected gear. I'm sure you have a couple of addict boxes filled with cords.
Yep.
You have a couple
Absolutely.
of our whole closet is just gear.
Yeah.
And we just did it.
Yeah, and then we had a lot of fun, and it started out as like literally just a hobby, and we liked doing it every Friday, and then people really grabbed a hold of it just because they were like, oh, we liked you guys on the radio, but this is totally uncensored. They like that fact. It's just raw. It was just like we turn on the mics and then talk for an hour and a half. And then it was just something that people weren't used to hearing. Now, podcasting is a lot more popular. It's getting into the mainstream where people are kind of understanding it. But back then, like this is 2009, and no podcasts were still around. But like people were used to radio, TV, like certain structure and stuff like that. So when they hear that, they were like, "Oh wow, this is something totally different. We really like it." And we did it for years for free, and we paid money. We'd buy some stickers and shirts and stuff and give out.
And stickers paid off. I was driving just like a week and a half ago. Driving, we were going to take the boat out.
Yeah.
We hadn't taken it out all since last summer. We got the kids in. Needless to say, we got there and the boat was broke. It didn't work.
Hey,
but we were driving along, and I remember I had reached out to you guys, and on the highway there where I-4 ends, there's a car next to me and had a Tom and Dan sticker on it.
Yeah.
Right there in Tampa.
Was
that your car?
No.
Well, at this point in time, we only have one sticker distributed to one car. Next year, 2016, we're shooting for 3 stickers on 3 cars.
But even those stickers, and like anybody who talks about how do you market yourself, how do you get your, and it could be as easy and as grassroots as like, for instance, even with Orlando City, like their magnet program.
Right.
Like they just started giving out free magnets. Now I literally see one on every single, like if I'm stopped at a stoplight and I don't see an Orlando City magnet, I'm shocked.
They're brilliant. Every Monday they go, oh, Magnet Monday. Who wants a free magnet?
Now, they're huge, and they've given out hundreds of thousands of magnets, which is obviously bigger than most people can do. But stickers are cheap, and you can give them out, and you can get your friends to put stickers on a car, and then people see that and then wonder what it is. And we, like a lot of people, they ask us about like, why don't you put your website on the sticker? And I'm just like, well, I feel like just our Tom and Dan logo, it like when you start putting websites and you start just like doing like that, like who's going to look at a sticker, look at a website, and go to your website? But someone's going to look at that Tom and Dan sticker on their buddy's car and then ask them, and then that person's going to sell the show to their friend because they are. And that's
also
what
the website. We found that the website on the bottom of the sticker sort of kills the homosexual, homoerotic, thing that we like. There's this weird kind of a mystique, and we like that old redneck grandpas think that it's a gay marriage sticker.
Yeah,
we love that.
Yeah, we get that a lot.
Yeah, we get a lot of that. Like we get a lot of like old grandpas that want to scrape it off their son's truck or car because he thinks he supports like a homosexual agenda.
It's like an Adam and Steve sticker. I think like
Adam
people.
And Steve. Oh my gosh.
And I don't know why, because it's funny because there's tons of other radio shows, Bob and Tom. And
it's the worst. It's the least creative name we could have ever done.
Well, they were my name. My name's just bland. I try to check in here. There's like 50 Jeff Adams. They go, who are you with?
Yeah.
Or you Google the first Jeff Adams that pops up is a realtor. With a guy in a suit.
Yeah.
We didn't have to check in. Our publicist did it for us. No big deal.
So you guys think you had with terrestrial radio coming into it with podcasting, like I was saying, a lot of people have questions. How do I get this off the ground? You do social media. Do you guys think you had a heads up with being in terrestrial radio?
Definitely, because you're gonna get that audience that is used to listening to you, especially since Daniel had done it for so long, and I had done it for over 10 years. And
collectively, at the time we started, it was like 25 years. Combined experience.
So you built up an audience, and no matter what kind of media that you do, like it's awesome to have an audience. And like sometimes, and I think for a lot of podcasters out there that are the most successful, either they come from like a big comedy background or a radio background, and then they get into podcasting, and then they kind of just take that audience with them. But you still build up, your own audience by doing it, just literally doing groundwork and getting it out there. But of course, it helped us having an already established audience. But it's funny because we've put out polls before and asked a lot of people how they started listening, and there's a considerable amount that started listening to us because they knew us from the radio days.
Right.
But then there's a surprising amount that just found us on iTunes, just so happened to find us on iTunes, and found us because we were nominated for awards, and they just went down the list and they're like, oh, well, let me. If these podcasts are nominated for awards, let me take a listen. So
how wrong were you?
So a lot of people found us in unconventional ways, but of course it helped us having the
So I mean, obviously, I'm going to ask this question. You guys don't have to answer it.
Oh yeah, we'll answer everything.
Because I've been on a lot of different broadcast shows, video broadcast shows. Everybody talks about, how do you make your money? And what I think is a pile of BS from the radio standpoint is, we have a listening demographic of 3.5 million people.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're about to get him started.
And
he's turning red.
And you have no proof.
Yep.
With CDNs and tracking, you can track the downloads, you can track your live viewers, but yet, from a local standpoint or whatever, people are like, well, you ain't on the radio, you're on the dang computer.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
Either you did homework or you hit one of his major hot buttons. You were rolling Vegas dice and you nailed it.
So he's the sales guy, right?
Yeah.
Well, he handles our business day to day, and he does a damn fine job of it. I mean, we're able.
So that's what you run into a lot.
Yes, yeah. But I found a couple ways to.
There's a lot of misinformation.
But you don't have to give out information. I just wonder, because that's been a big topic with a lot of podcasters. They're just trying to figure out. I'm like, there's no way this guy's making $1 million doing podcasting.
Yeah, no.
If he is, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a picture like this. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
Plug in the USB.
Well, because you start looking. Because here's the thing: you start looking at it like, where's your money coming from? Because and I'm fascinated with the business behind podcasting, and I've really studied a lot of ways that people made money
behind it.
Well, the business of how people
him up at night. He will literally text me in the middle of the night with some idea. He's like, we got to do this.
Yeah.
He's up with his baby, just laying on the floor. What do you stare at the ceiling fan and think of new business ideas?
You can do that if you have a ton of, maybe you have 100,000 downloads of podcasts, which most people don't have.
Right.
Saying and we average around 20,000 per episode, right?
That's great.
So, and it is
I also
good.
know some numbers. I won't share where they're from, but just to kind of jump in here.
Yeah.
If you have a podcast and you get more than 500 downloads, you're in the top 15% of all podcasts.
Wow. Yeah, that's
true. That should scare you though, because that's not very many people listening. It is and it isn't.
And what I realized, like, I started looking at how all the big podcasters started making money, and then obviously there's a big advertising component of it, right? But like, what I realized is like the people that were willing to pay for advertising were like, there used to be, and now it's changed a lot, but there used to be like about 10 businesses that used to advertise. So Squarespace, your Audibles, your
Audible.com,
Sherry's Berries.
Your a lot of like
that one's just fun to say.
A lot of internet-based companies, they got into like advertising on podcasts. A lot of those companies will only pay like between $7 to $10 per 1,000 downloads for your commercial.
And you know what? I don't even care. The hell with them. Because you know why? Now you get me mad. Because I found something I was passionate about one time.
Yeah.
You ever heard of Man Grates?
Yes,
yeah, absolutely.
Well, my guy left, and I sold a buttload. They owed me like $500.
Really?
$500. I was like crazy about the Man Grates. I still am.
Did you write them and tell them? Like...
No, they handed it over. The guy left. He went back into IT. There was a marketing guy there.
Yeah.
He left, and then they put me with this new guy. I keep calling him. They keep skating me. It's just $500. I'm just saying.
But still, you owe that.
With that crap, it's like that irritates me because you've got to go after this money. Like I've done the Amazon stuff, and I had GoDaddy. GoDaddy's not doing podcasting anymore. They pulled the plug. They got new ownership. But it's just like, I've noticed all too the trends. Like someone's listening to a podcast, so they're like, I better hit those people up, or because I had people like, hey, how'd you get Man Grates? I go, you don't want to fool with them now because I didn't get paid.
There's also a weird middleman there that I don't understand, and I know Tom's not a fan of it, but whenever you're like a bigger company like that, and a lot of times I think they buy these deals, and you can correct me if I'm saying this incorrectly.
Yeah.
But they buy these deals in like packages. It's like you're going to get a bunch of different podcasts, so you can scatter your message on maybe between let's say 5 and 12 different podcasts.
Well, that's the business behind podcast networks.
Yeah, but we don't get any. Like
it's all BS.
But the money we would get from doing that read, which by the way, the portion of it comes back to us. But we started doing the math, and it's like, man, we could make a lot more money if we did this like
on our own.
And Tom took it upon himself to form his own quote business department. We make jokes about it, but it really is him.
Well, there you go. Everybody making $1 million in podcasting. You can be the podcasting advertised guy. You can hold money up like this with a microphone and go, "Do you want to make money in podcasting? Talk to me."
See, it all goes like I used to get like. Let's look at terrestrial radio advertising, right?
Yeah.
Like I used to do a lot of like sales meetings with stuff like that was the only way to make money is to get like the $20 in live reads and the $300 in appearances. That's where you get paid in terrestrial radio for the most part.
Oh, by the way, that's what we made. Fully transparent. $150 an hour for appearances when we did radio, and then $20 a live read for an endorsement.
Right.
But so I started realizing like why aren't more podcasters going into local advertising? Because their money is just as green as national advertisers,
right.
And I realize a lot of them is
it's also easier to control because it's right there in front of you.
They're knocking on the door. Excuse me.
Yeah, and then what I realized is that like the local money will pay more than the national advertisers because you can have more of an impact. They already pay tons of money to their local like TV commercials, the radio stations, billboards and stuff like that. So I realized coming from the radio background how much money they were paying, and they were paying thousands a month, right?
Are you gonna cry?
And then no, I'm losing my voice from talking so much this weekend and the dry air.
Hey Chris, can you get some more water?
I'm from Orlando. I'm used to breathing in a swamp.
He's losing his voice too.
But
you can have some wine if you want.
No, thank you. I'll drink some of yours.
Have some spaghetti earlier.
But
that's how we get you all vodka.
So I realized that there's
we get taken care of here.
A huge local component that people weren't taking advantage of. So I just started going after all my contacts for local advertiser companies, and they were paying more than any of the national advertisers would pay.
Right.
Based upon our numbers, because
right.
You have to get to the 100,000s here, like Mark Maron, your Adam Carolla level, your Joe Rogans, to be able to get to make money off those national advertisers. So, and then I realized there's another component that we did, which is just like in radio or anything, you're going to have a certain number, and we've realized that about 15% of your listeners that are like really dedicated. Like
right.
they follow everything you do, listen to everything, they absorb all the content they can, and then they want more.
They put the magnets, the stickers on their cars, they buy the shirts, but those are our guys.
Yeah, but they also go back and they are dying for more content, constantly emailing us like, do more.
Right.
And then so I realized, like, okay, these are the hardcore listeners would be willing to probably pay a subscription to be able to get more content, right? So we enacted that process as well.
Brilliant, by the way.
And then so we called them BDMs. I can't say what it stands for, but they
say whatever you want to say.
They started flooding.
What does it mean?
Big dick millionaires.
Wow, there you go, boom.
And then also, and not only do they pay for the extra shows, but they also we have very like Illuminati. It's funny we were talking about that earlier.
What? No, I didn't. I wasn't talking about anything. That was Illuminati.
But we never had that conversation.
We have very Illuminati like symbolism and stuff like that, and with the every.
I do not know you.
I've got the shirt on right now.
Yeah, like the touching tip. That's a BDM
the
shirt.
Touching of the tips.
So,
Chris,
it makes everybody. It's like, oh, I'm part of the BDM club and stuff, like private Facebook groups and stuff, and we were able to get a good amount of subscribers paying $2.95 a month. And so you can have 15% of your listeners doing that, and then with the free show, now we don't run any commercials with the BDM shows because they pay for that.
Yeah.
And then the free show we do once a week, we put, we try to stick around 3 commercials a show. Anything more than that, it becomes oversaturated. But
because content's still king.
Right.
I mean, that's why we quit radio.
But it's all up to us. And we're just putting these own rules on ourselves and stuff. So like, and then with those two like avenues to make money, you can make a living, and obviously not a millionaire, but a decent living, and make
see how fired up he gets.
More than we even our base
passion
pays.
for it.
Yeah, we're passionate about it, man.
Even more than we made in radio, and
Drink some water,
it's
man.
possible.
Relax.
calm down.
You're all right.
It's good information.
He gets fired up about it.
I want to know why you haven't been invited to some of these conferences, because that angle, what you just said, it's never covered. It's like,
no, never.
I've never been. I've got friends that do it,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, who the heck goes to these things? No offense to my friends that do it, but it's
our
like
content is a little abrasive, I would say. Like we don't really filter anything
well, it doesn't.
out.
No, you're talking about. You've got numbers. You know what I mean? You've got.
We do. We're doing okay.
That's gonna give people hope. Like, how do I do this thing? You know,
but
why? You should be like teaching the business side. You know,
but most guys, he doesn't fit the mold though. He'll never do it. Well, I don't want to say never, but
I'll do
it. But it won't work because we're never going to put ourselves. We're never going to put ourselves in a position where, because I get people that write me all the time and go, "Hey, will you set me up a studio? I'll pay you." And I go, I'll show you what to buy. I'll even come over and help you do it. But I'm not going to be one of those guys that adheres to this weird, manipulative business model of have a podcast like
and then
mine.
They go, can you also just host my show now from my house?
But just like, and then you get these guys that like want to sell you these packages of equipment, and they're going to make you the next podcasting superstar, and that's not true. There is a level of broadcasting. You need to be comfortable on a microphone. You need to know how to talk. You need to be able to think on your feet. And there's a lot of little. I'm not saying that we're like super talented or anything, but I'm just not
super talented.
I'm not willing
practice.
to.
You guys wouldn't be here in Vegas if you weren't super talented.
Well, we've had a lot of friends here to visit, and there's a lot of
one of our listeners
women.
bought us tickets.
Yeah, we did. That's how you save money. You want to save
it.
money? You get one of your listeners that's got a lot of Southwest miles to get you the Rapid Rewards program. By the way, I'd like, if that listener's listening, I want to tell him that I'm mad at him because you can't upgrade those tickets because they were bought with points. I wanted more legroom. I had to wait till we got to the.
How dare you?
Yeah, you know what? Delete your account and never listen again.
But and it's funny because I'll tell people all the time. I'm like, because there's no secret, and it doesn't. And it's not something that's ever going to hurt us.
According to all the podcast guys, yes, it is. Do you want to know the podcasting secret? Do you want to be a million? It's such horse crap, man.
Yeah, because I hate it. Because no one's ever going to like. Here's a secret. If you have a lot of downloads, you can sell advertisers, and if you have a lot of downloads, a percentage of those people would pay a monthly fee to hear extra shows.
Yeah,
and that's it. Like it's based like. The secret has always been there with any advertising, with any media, is if you have a big audience, you can make money off of it.
So you're saying I'm the special? I'm quoting the Lego movie. I apologize.
It should be like, I should set up a booth and be like, I'll teach you the secret. Have an audience listen to you. And then that's it.
Well, here's a really...
They'll kick you out of here.
Yeah, here's a really big question for you. I've done 2 shows on podcasting, like over the course of 2 years. Yeah. And I don't consider myself a podcaster. That's a big deal. I consider myself a broadcaster. What do you What would you label yourselves?
Yeah, like the term podcaster is weird because, and people have brought up that up to us. It's funny because there was a while where we changed our branding to just call it a Mediocre Time with Tom and Dan show.
Yeah.
And then we've always stuck with that. We call it a show. It's a show that you listen to. There's a lot of different ways to listen to it, but it's a MP3. And whatever the way you download it, however you listen to it.
Careful, patent trolls coming after us.
And then that's it. And so it's audio.
Yeah.
So that's basically it. So the word podcaster, but then it became all of a sudden podcasting became like a cool term again, and it became like really hip.
Who the hell came up with that name? We were talking about the other day on a show, like who came up with podcasting? We couldn't figure it out.
There actually is a.
Daniel knows
I found it one day. I can't remember because I smoked too much marijuana, but I do know that there is a guy that actually used it in like a blog. I believe he used it as a term for what he did, and I want to say it was around.
Mike D?
I want to say it was around like 2003, 2002.
Really?
Yeah.
Someone said it was like the iPod. I was like, no, podcasting was before the iPod.
Yeah. I think it was.
I guess we're broadcasters. I don't really label us that much, Like I just want to be rich and
I
get
just
free
don't know.
plane tickets for listeners.
I don't even know what to label myself, but I just said I'm not a podcaster. I go, yeah, you have stuff on demand. I'm like, does that make you a podcaster?
I guess it does.
Well,
yeah.
it's like, here's the thing. Like, most people watch Breaking Bad on demand through Netflix, right?
That's how you do it.
Yeah, and it's still what's his name?
Walter White.
But what's his? God,
Who are you talking about?
Let's cook.
Charles Manson.
Charles Manson.
Billy D. Williams.
The actor who
Billy
plays
D.
Walter
Williams.
White.
Billy D. Williams?
I forgot the actor. Oh, God, I'm going to push you off the stool. Anyway,
Abe Vigoda.
Are you guys on the same stool? No, I was about to say, wow, you guys are tight.
Usually I sit on his lap, and then he puts his hand up my shirt, and we
It's like the Tom and Dan show.
Yeah,
Ventriloquist. Brian Carson, we've gone over that. Like, sometimes we use it, sometimes we don't. But it's just you're providing an entertainment show that's audio, and that's it. And then talk radio is. It's funny because talk radio is super popular because if people either listen to the music or talk radio, if it's audio or like audio books, And I tell people all the time, like, if you're interested in listening to audiobooks, then maybe you'll be interested in listening to podcasting and stuff like that. And I think the audiobooks and all this stuff gets people into podcasting. The Serial podcast.
You just reminded me of something. That's where I heard the term that I coined, and I will take credit for it, patio. They've been using it lately, saying patio books. When a podcaster writes a book and then reads his own book, it's called patio books.
Oh, really?
And I heard that, and I just I'm going to sue your ass. Our attorney, Stephen Kramer, write that down because you're getting it.
But yeah,
coming at you.
It's you're just broadcasting. You're entertaining. It's kind of.
What's some of your favorite stuff you like to listen to?
Like I said, I've listened to all of the hardcore history. I listen to Star Talk, Neil deGrasse Tyson's podcast that he has out there. I listen to Corolla, for comedy. I listen to Crack podcast.
Cracked is a great podcast.
Yeah, and so in the Radio Lab, I just started listening to the NPR's podcast they do. So I really like educational podcasts. It's funny. All right, Brian Karsten, you can't talk anymore because you yelled at, made me look like an idiot.
Brian Karsten.
Like, yes, that's it. Brian Karsten.
Somehow
you went with it too.
Somehow Chris always makes his way on the show even though there's not a microphone.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's great.
So I like how you went with it. You're like, oh yes, Brian Karsten.
People are listening to this guy's an idiot.
I've never seen one episode of Breaking Bad, and I knew it was Cranston.
You haven't seen it?
No, never seen it.
Oh, so great, man.
I don't watch.
So good.
I don't watch movies. I don't watch any if it's a show that people say they love, I don't watch it because
I was the same way. And my wife turned it on. I got hooked.
Really?
Just like the stuff he was cooking, man. It's just I was like, I love this show.
I'm seeing what podcast I listen to. What do I listen? Marin. I listen to Marin. I listen to podcasts about podcasting. I won't talk about them because.
Why do you do that to yourself?
Because he's obsessed with the audio quality of our show, and it does sound really, really good. And I'm glad that because like I said, I know nothing about it.
It's not going to change. It's not going to be.
But
you know the levels. You know the levels.
I listen a little. I get little tips. Like we just upgraded our.
Here's a little tip for you.
We used to. If I had a nickel for every time I've said that, I do. We had an H4n. It's a Zoom product.
Yeah.
And I was listening to some guy's podcast, and then he was like, yeah, I'm using my brand new H6. And I go, I got to buy it. So then I hit this guy up for 4 months, and then finally I found it on sale, and we upgraded our equipment.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known that was out there. We're really busy just either broadcasting or doing business day to day, radio was great, not to jump back in a Wayback Machine, but radio was great because we worked from 6 a.m. until 11 a.m. and that was it. There was no other work to do.
Right.
But this job, we show up at the studio at 10 a.m. and we work some days, we'll work until 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And that's a long day.
Yeah.
And that's what if anybody's listening to this and wants to get into podcasting, just to recording the show, a lot of people think that we do a couple shows throughout the week, whether it's, the terrestrial, we do the soccer cast or the regular free show or the subscriber show. But everybody thinks that that's just what we do. Like we turn on the mics, we do that show, and we're like, I'll see you later, Daniel. I'm going to...
Apparently nobody knows that it has to be edited. It has to be uploaded. You got to put all the ID tags in there.
Yeah.
The marketing, too. We do a ton of marketing. We're about to do advertising on buses in Orlando.
Oh, wow.
So we talked to them. We're about to wrap a half side of a bus
But that's more just to pick up chicks, I think, because you're like, yeah, I'm on a bus.
What's the wife think about that?
You know what? They don't know yet.
They're pregnant.
They're pregnant. They're out of commission right now. When I look at them, they're not even women anymore. They're just baby receptacles. We came to Vegas for the real ladies. We had a cab driver last night who told us that we should order a woman to our room.
Yeah. Because we were asking him what the best strip clubs. He's like, no.
He's like, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, you're doing it wrong. You get the girl to come to your room. And then we're like, all right, like a prostitute? He's like, hey.
Yeah, he just kind of Russian grunted. And then we were like, what strip club should we go to? And he just stood there stone faced. He goes, Diamonds. That's all he said.
I don't
even know what that is.
When we were in a cab, you know how they do that? It's like, it's not because they think it's the best. They get paid off.
Yeah.
They get dropped off. Some guy was saying that in the cab. It's like, he goes, it has nothing to do with the strip club. It depends how much, they make $40, $50
for referrals.
$60, yeah.
Wow. Oh,
it's like podcasting.
You didn't know he didn't know Cranston's names, but he's horny.
He knows the Diamonds rate.
Yeah, he's like, it's $60, definitely 60.
I had my days when I did all that, but I just don't get it. I feel like, you go in that world and you do it, it's just like you feel bad afterwards. It's like, what just happened? And truthfully, off the record, I tell people, it's like, we have this guy, he's not even with us, he jumped out the deep end on us. He showed up, he was doing mics with us, and he's drunk the whole time. He didn't even show. He goes, I'm taking the day off. I'm like, bro, you're getting paid,
Oh, he's like a producer for you guys?
Yeah, just not here. No, he's gone. He's at Diamonds.
But I told him,
he's having more fun than us, by the way.
We had a crew. We all stayed together, and he decided to do his own thing. Literally Saturday night, you could see it in his eyes. He had a suitcase, and he's got a girlfriend back at home, and he's like, I got to find some other place to stay. I go, why? You going to do something? And then he's like, no, I got to find a place to stay. And I saw it in his eyes. And I said, just do yourself a favor. Go to our hotel, turn on the TV or internet for 5 seconds. It's for free. And you'll have, $550, $1,000 still in your pocket.
Yeah.
Well, you want to know what we did last night? So we talked to the cabbie. He tells us we should order a girl to our room. We take it under advisement. We took it into consideration. We got up to our room, and we ordered 2 hamburgers, and we both passed out and apparently missed the door. They knocked to bring us our hamburgers, and we never got them. So we have $40 worth of hamburgers we never ate, and we both passed out in our clothes. Didn't even pull the sheets back.
Living the life in Vegas.
A Palms hamburger is? It's like $18.
We're staying at the Palms, and we got it was called the To Die For hamburger. Well, I'll never know. Yeah, I know.
And then I woke up at 3 in the morning. I'm like, hamburger. and then I was like, yeah. But we're ordering a girl tonight.
You know what? What? You said the Palms, and I totally thought about you. When I worked for Jeff Hansen and Creed, because everybody hated Creed. I just worked there because something happened, and I said, I hate Creed, but I started this record company thing for them.
You can't say they're not a good
band. But I listened to
you.
You pissed off Scott Stapp one time. You didn't even know if you pissed off Scott. Yeah, because you said some kind of joke, and I remember, because I'd always sing it to him to mock him. You said you were singing with Butts Wide Open. You sang a song called Butts Wide Open on the radio, and he always remembered it. So every time I walk in the door, I'd sing it to him because you sang it on the radio.
Oh, really?
And he was
Butts Wide Open.
Yeah.
Oh, Scott Stapp hates you. That's awesome.
Well, yeah, because the Palms, they played on top of the Palms that one year for the.
Yeah, yeah.
Every time I come here, I remember that. It's like Scott Stapp thought he was a god, and then he went back. He tried to go back to the Christian market recently, and then he just like relapsed again. And he's like asking for food on his Facebook page, like donate to Scott Stapp Fund.
Really?
He's broke.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to go back. It's kind of hard to go back to the Christian market when there is no God.
What?
Yeah, I'm kidding. Go. Yeah. Cut that out.
I hope.
Edit that.
Edit that out. So we ordered this girl.
I hope when we order the girl tonight that Scott Stapp shows up in a wig and then beats you up. Because he's like, yo, you're the butts wide open guy. Jeff told me about you.
I never want to be known as the butts wide open guy.
Well, that's your new nickname.
I remember that because I always doing it. He would get so pissed off.
He's like, oh, one day I'm gonna
meet that guy.
Well, I think it was my fault because I don't think he listened. I started singing. I said, hey, this radio show, and he would walk in the door. I go, with butts wide open, and he gets so mad at me. I said, hey, I heard it on the radio.
You know what's funny is
I'm gonna record that.
I never it never even crossed my mind that like celebrities would ever listen to anything we've ever said, like even on the radio. I was about to tell a story about this, and so like when you make fun of celebrities because they're in the news or whatever, you just never even think that they'd ever hear it. You're like, oh, they're too big, they're not gonna listen to this or whatever.
Right.
One time,
this is terrible.
It was the Backstreet Boys? Or no, it was 98 Degrees.
No. You're talking about it was when.
You remember when they tried to bring like different guys from boy bands back together? And
oh God! Yeah, Chris Kirkpatrick was in it.
Yeah, Chris Kirkpatrick.
We're friends with Chris. But
Chris is a good guy. We've had him on the show a ton of times,
Yeah.
and he's a really good sport because we did a show like a throwback to the '90s show.
Yeah.
And he came on and he did it was fun. It was super fun, and my wife's in love with him.
But there's a guy from
it was the guy from Color Me Bad.
Yeah.
Remember Color Me Bad?
I wanna set you up.
Yeah,
and he's gained a little bit of weight.
And by a little bit,
Just a little, just a tad.
No, he's huge, dude.
Not a lot.
He's huge.
I know he's huge.
And listen, what
was sad was like, the documentary he was rolling that tire in. He worked at a tire place. That was pretty sad.
Yeah, no, I know. And here's the thing, we're
He's
not
big as a tire.
We talk. We're fat. We admit it, and so like we make fun of ourselves.
We're comforted.
You know?
We're kept men. Back in Victorian times, we would have been the most desired ladies because we're fat.
Yeah, we're rich. The ripped guys, they were the poros. They were doing manual labor.
Yeah, chimney sweeps. Who wants a chimney sweep?
So anyway, they were doing the reality show on this, and they went and sang the national anthem at a Magic game. And then
I remember that.
And then after they sang the national anthem, we were talking about
They got booed.
it. Yeah,
they did get booed.
So Daniel made the joke about the Color Me Bad guy, and he said, he's like, that guy looked. What was that?
I said color me fat.
Yeah,
it wasn't me. It was Dirty Jim.
Oh, okay, yeah. So then they played them listening to the radio to see how more local radio was talking. And then when he heard the guy or Jimmy say "color me fat," the guy literally his face instantly got super sad.
I thought he was gonna cry.
And then it's just like, oh my God, people actually could hear this and get sad that we're making fun
for
of them.
16 years we've hurt everyone's feelings with reckless abandonment.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, wow, I just never dawned on me that celebrities could actually hear
They're
what
not
we said.
people. We were in New York one time, and Jeff was working when he was trying to do the solo thing. And we were going to pitch it to Jive when Jive was still around.
Yeah.
And the guy came in to Jive and just said, we'll have rights to first refusal if no one picks this up. And
he had a band too, Nigel's 11, I think was the name of his band.
Yeah, and Jive just says, it's good. But he's the one that put NSYNC together originally.
Yeah, that's his band.
All that money made for the record company, they just kind of said, and that day I was with Chris when Jive just let him go.
Wow.
In the dust. And it was very sad. He's like, this kind of sucks. I said, man, I'm sorry, man.
He's one of the nicest.
Yeah.
He's such a sweet guy.
Yeah.
He'll do anything for charity. He always helps out kids. He's such a cool guy. That's one guy, that's maybe one of one that I know of guys that are worth a lot of money and did it right and they're still living off of it and doing great.
He was the first, Jeff tried to put a reality show together because before he got married, he lived you ever been to one of his parties?
Yeah.
I think I've only been to one, and I don't really remember much.
Well, it's pretty bad. Back in the day when MTV was still going on, I think it was maybe early 2000.
Yeah.
We put together this reality show around Chris, because what was his name? The little guy.
He passed away, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah.
Eric? Was it Eric?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Well, he had this whole, entourage.
Yeah.
And so anyways, MTV passed on it and said it was too graphic. Because I guess it was his birthday party, and they threw a party, and they took a camera in, and imagine what was going on.
I believe that. Yeah.
And MTV passed on his show too. It's all in the same time. He's like, man. I go, man. You know, you just.
Think about that, and now what like Jersey Shore is, and MTV. They're like, oh, we threw that out the window. Now it's ultra sex all the time because MTV's reality shows are like literally they just like they may blur it out but they literally have softcore porn.
This also ties in to just to go full circle back into our radio discussion because you know we come from that area of like, oh yeah, push the line as hard as you can. Go as hard as you can. Oh yeah. Make those jokes. Yeah. You can do that. You can allude to some sort of clever, sexual joke or maybe something that would be considered, making fun of a particular race or something. Oh, that's fine. Do that. And then the minute you get into trouble, they're like, why did you do that? You're idiots. You're fired. You're the dumbest people. When you're making money,
right?
You can, they want you to push it.
You seem bitter about that.
I'm totally bitter about radio.
You go to counseling over it?
I'm the most bitter. And you know what? I was never fired. That's the weird thing.
Or is Tom your counselor?
No, he just ignores me.
Hey, let me ask you this. We got about 10 more minutes here.
Okay.
Did you originally, because I don't know, did you have to wear a bear suit to get into the Monsters? You were Drunky the Bear?
Jeff.
Brian Carnston.
Was it all a stick?
No. I came into that with that whole
was your
gimmick.
idea.
And I didn't even want to be in radio. Like it's funny. I just listened to the show at the time, and I was like, that would be a fun internship. Like at the time, I was doing stunt videos. This is ridiculous.
Stunt videos.
It was Jackass was big back then, and then me and my
Super
friends.
Dave stuff, huh?
We were doing like Drunky the Bear. Like a lot of my friends were skateboarders
You were the
and
comic relief
motocross
for
riders.
pornos. Just call it what it is.
I did a stint where a porno company paid me and my friends to do stunts. They were doing like a Jackass
Comic relief.
style porno. It's called The Life and Times of Drunky the Bear, but it's a different bear suit. But that's me and my friends, and so we just realized that like a guy in a bear suit, and we called him Drunky the Bear, was funny. They didn't use the bear suit that I had and used with the Monsters because that's the Bear in the Big Blue House, which I'm so surprised Clear Channel never got sued over because we were doing like the horrible things with it. And
we're also in Orlando, home of Disney.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable you got away with it.
It's a Bear in the Big Blue House suit, and I used to talk about it on the radio. I'm like, I can't believe Disney's not suing Clear Channel. And they're like, don't say that. But
and he had 5 of these things. He was like Elvis.
What happened to that bear? That bear is not on Disney anymore.
No.
Were all the suits we shot AKs at him and AR-15s at him. We blew it all to hell.
But I came in with that gimmick, and then I rode dirt bikes and things like that, so I was able to do stunts.
You want to know how he got his internship?
Oh.
He traded me porno at a country bar.
He's
He's like, I'll give you free porno if you make me your intern. And I was like, deal.
That's literally how I got my start. And then
I don't think we've ever told that, which is really funny.
Yeah, and then we did I did a whole year of internship, and then they're like, some other intern came on and then threatened to sue the company. The dad was a big time lawyer because they dressed her up like a maid, and they
she had buck teeth, and they made her eat an apple through a fence.
And they like painted her teeth like shamrocks, like typical radio stuff. So,
just
so
dumb radio
the
stuff.
lawyer dad, like there was a big time lawyer. He's like, I'm gonna sue you. Get freaked out, and they're like, oh. So they banned the show from having interns, and they're like, and everybody else is like, who are gonna get to do like get us coffee and edit our commercials? And they're like, just hire Drunky, like part time. And that was literally how I got a job in radio, is because some chick's dad was a lawyer.
Heartwarming tale.
Not because of anything, it was just because some chick's dad was a lawyer and they painted her teeth like
shamrocks. And we're gonna hire that girl tonight to come to the Palms and eat an apple
and eat your hamburgers from last night.
Yeah, and eat our hamburger. Bring us our hamburger.
But so I didn't have to. It was just like a gimmick for a while. Then I started hating it, and but because it just went on for too long. I thought I was gonna do one semester of internship and then leave. I have a business management degree. I have nothing to do with broadcasting, and I kind of just like one of those things where next thing you know, I blink my eye and it's 8 years later. I'm like, I might as well just stick with it.
Well, last question too. It's about you don't ever want to like burn bridges or whatever, but like with some of these broadcasters, from what I heard, like Drew Garabo, who's over in Tampa now.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't ever want to. You never know who's going to work, who you're going to work for.
I just did a show.
Yeah.
3 weeks ago.
So, I mean, it always seemed like was it like a family war? You get mad at each other and then just get over it, or?
Yeah, I mean, there were some things that they got done to us by people that we work with that were really like the bad stuff and malicious.
I'll say it. I'll never forgive it. But I'm okay saying that.
But for the most part, we were always friends with everybody, and still to this day, we don't talk bad even about that situation because it's just business. Like
right.
When we've made enough money, we will. So,
we'll burn all the bridges.
Yeah, all bridges burned. When we're on a money island, burn all the bridges.
A couple more barbecue sponsors, and I'm burning all the bridges.
the way to do it.
I told our listeners that like if we get 3,000 more subscribers, we will tell all the stories and we will literally burn every bridge
Burn it
we have.
down.
Which is bad because then one day we'll be crawling back. Like,
We're
please.
getting closer. Like they called your bluff. So.
But we never like besides from like one person, we never had problems with anybody else. And like we do like Drew's done shows with even like Shannon Burke, where we got a good relationship with. He's on radio because it's good for promotion.
Yeah.
You know? It's all just a business. Like unless you're doing it for a hobby, then but for us it's the way we make our living. So you gotta play politics.
You got to. Well, Tom and Dan.
Hey, thank you, man.
Yeah, thank
Dan
you very
and Tom.
much.
Oh, tomanddan.com. That's easy.
Yeah.
It's not on this. It's not on the sticker though.
What now?
It's not on the sticker.
No, yeah,
You
we don't
shouldn't
put it
say
on.
tomanddan.com.
No. It just looks like a weird pro-gay.
We want the listener audience just to find Tom and Dan with no .com.
Yeah.
You think they could do it?
Yeah, I think they can. Pretty easy.
The
a
internet,
mediocre time.
The internet is catching on, I think.
So we're streaming live on Spreaker, live video on broadcastbeat.com, which allowed me to do this show. By the way, broadcastbeat.com. They paid our way out here.
Nice.
Oh, awesome.
So hey, why don't you read this? I want to see how good your ads are.
Sure.
Here.
What am I reading?
Let's get the free month off and do it the Tom and Dan style.
Okay, we can do this.
I can't read.
You can't?
Get a free month off of your first month of Spreaker. Get a free month off your first month of Spreaker podcast hosting and live streaming plans by using promo code NMX15. That's NMX15.
This one. I pointed at the wrong one. That's my fault.
Okay. Oh, thank them at the end. Thank the listener.
That's weird that they had that. The live Spreaker audio stream from NMX and NAB will continue in a few minutes. We are live streaming from noon PST. What does that mean?
Post-traumatic stress.
Is this an army?
Yeah.
Is this an
Pacific
army
Standard
thing?
Time.
Weird.
From noon to 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Wednesday, and noon Pacific Standard Time till 3 p.m. on Thursday. We'll be right back.
Stop streaming.
Thanks.
Save
for
the
hanging out.
episode, reset the live stream, and then enter new guests.
And then it says that's better than Tom and Dan.
Yeah.
Who wrote that?
Order
That's
hamburger.
Camera guy wrote that.
Anyway, thanks so much. It's
Thank you.
been great. And next year, come back, do your own show from here, man.
Yeah, I think we will next year.
You got to, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Unless we go to jail tonight for
Yeah.
prostitution.
Hey, let's try to hang out when we get back to Florida too. Come over to the studio.
Let's do it. Thank
Do
you
a video
so much.
show.
Appreciate you giving us the time.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Adios.